I used to think my best friend Jake had the perfect life, the kind you see in movies where everything looks calm, organized, and just right, with a big house, polite parents, and dinner together every single night like nothing ever went wrong. But the more time I spent around him, the more I started noticing small things that didn't match that perfect image. Jake never argued with anyone, never said no, never even reacted when people treated him badly, and at first I thought he was just easygoing. But it started feeling strange when I saw him apologize to a kid at school who had literally shoved him for no reason, like he believed everything was somehow his fault. I didn't understand it fully until I stayed at his house for a week while my parents were out of town, because that's when I saw what his perfect life actually looked like behind closed doors. The first night seemed normal, but I noticed that every time Jake spoke at dinner, he would glance at his dad first, almost like he was checking if it was okay to continue. And if his dad didn't react, Jake would just stop mid-sentence and go quiet, like his thoughts didn't matter. The next day, something even smaller happened that felt way bigger than it should have. Jake reached for the salt before his dad and immediately froze when his dad looked at him, slowly pulling his hand back and apologizing in a low voice, and no one said anything, not even his mom. Like that was completely normal behavior. By the third day, I realized how deep it went when we were playing a video game, and I jokingly said I was better than him. And instead of laughing it off, Jake went completely silent, almost tense. And when his dad walked in and asked what happened, Jake instantly blamed himself, even though nothing had actually happened. Like he had been trained to take responsibility for everything no matter what. That same day, I saw his mom drop a glass in the kitchen, and instead of reacting normally, she immediately started apologizing over and over again while trying to clean it up. And his dad didn't yell or get angry, he just stood there quietly watching. And somehow that silence created more pressure than shouting ever could, because it made it clear that mistakes weren't acceptable in that house at all. That night, I asked Jake directly what happens if he messes up, and he paused for a long time before saying, "We don't," like it wasn't even an option. And that was the moment everything clicked for me. This wasn't a peaceful, perfect family. It was a controlled environment where everyone was constantly trying not to make a mistake. The real breaking point came a couple of days later at school when Jake answered a question wrong in class, something completely normal that happens to everyone, but instead of brushing it off, he froze, like genuinely panicked. And later, I found him in the bathroom just staring at himself in the mirror, quietly repeating that he messed up like it was something serious. And that's when I understood that he didn't see mistakes as a part of learning. He saw them as failure, as something unacceptable that had consequences. Before I left, I told him honestly that this wasn't normal and that he was allowed to mess up like everyone else. And what scared me the most was that he didn't argue or defend his family. He just said he already knew, like he had been aware of it the whole time but didn't believe anything could change. So I tried to show him in a simple way by dropping a glass on purpose and letting it shatter. And when nothing happened, I told him that's what normal looks like, but he just looked at me and said that it only works because it's not his house. After I went back home, I couldn't stop thinking about it, but a few weeks later I started noticing small changes in him. He began speaking a little more in class, laughing a bit louder, even disagreeing with someone once, and then one day he got an answer wrong again, and instead of shutting down, he just shrugged and moved on like it wasn't a big deal. And in that moment, I realized something important, that a life that looks perfect on the outside isn't always healthy, and sometimes the most damaging environments aren't loud or obvious. They're the quiet ones where you're never allowed to be human, where everything looks fine until you realize no one there actually feels free.